You're watching on the Bud Light Live in the Green and Gold Postgame Show. If you want to chime in, you can. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. You can find us. You can also check us out on the stream. Go to WOZN. Go to the stream WOZN. The Zone Madison is where you can find us, the Zone Madison. And we're live here in Green Bay. And if you want to give us a shout, do it. The Packers get a win. They knock off the LA Rams. And here we go to the network. So here we have it. Get a little preview.
This is the Green and Gold Postgame Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Green Bay Packers 24-12. Game one out of the next four. Really, they needed 5 in a row. They've got 2 in a row now. Next week, it's Miami, and everything has to continue to fall in the Packers' direction as their quest to still get themselves into the postseason continues on. But the Packers beat L.A. 3 more now to go on the docket. Packers did it tonight. You know, it's interesting because I sat there and I actually tweeted it out. The Packers were, the Packers are up. And they're up at 24-6. And all they needed to do was close it out. That was it. All they needed to do was close it out. 24-6. And offensively, they couldn't do it. They turned the ball over. And then right away, after the Packers get the Aaron Jones 7-yard touchdown pass, they watch the 6-play, 70-yard drive go right down the field. And I thought, I was saying at the time, I thought, man, you're looking for that third down big stop, just put the hammer down. Now, don't get me wrong. Only giving up 12 points, not a bad way to go, right? Giving up 12, not terrible. But, you got to be able to kind of put your heel on the throat and cut them off. And they won. I'm not knocking it. A win is a win is a win. Who cares? They could have scored again. They chose not to. The class move because both Sean McVay and Matt Lafleur are friends. But, you just thought, man, put the heel on the throat and squash them. Squash them like a bug defensively. And they just didn't do it, And then obviously the turnover, and that changed things a little bit. And it's just those little things. The turnover tonight. The Packers, by the way, this evening, when you talk about the turnovers, Packers turned it over twice. One was the Rodgers pass that just flew way over Lazard, and then obviously the Aaron Jones fumble. But it's just those little things, those little things. Some of the things concerning coming out of the game tonight. Josh Nijman had his moments where he just didn't look great tonight a couple of times, and then obviously A.J. Dillon leaving the game. And I saw him come out of the blue tent. I was fixed on him, and I'm watching him come out of the blue tent. I'm like, he doesn't have a helmet. Usually when they take your helmet away, you're not going back in the game. And when he comes out, he's not limping or anything. I looked at Mike Clemens. I said, I think it's a concussion. Sure enough, they announced a little bit later on. He jogged. He jogged, which was good. So you would assume, and again, I'm not a doctor, but just going by all my years of experience and the way they deal with this, he was jogging. So it wasn't like he was woozy. Wasn't like he was dizzy. Nothing like that. He jogged off the field, and they just, because of precautionary measures, they kept him out of the ball game. He probably just didn't pass his baseline test, but nevertheless, he ends up leaving the game with the concussion. But overall, the Packers did exactly what they needed to do. 24-12, they knock off the Rams. Aaron Rodgers tonight, not a great day by any stretch, but 22-30. 22-30. That's not bad. That's not bad. The longest pass of the day with the Aaron Jones catch and run for 25. Romeo Doubs had one crossing pattern over the middle, got some extra yards after the fact, 23 yards. But that downfield, the Rams were not going to give them Christian Watson. He was covered, he was held, he was molested, everything, every which way tonight. They held him in check. But the Packers get a win, and that's really all that matters. And so it's 1 out of the next 4, 3 to go. The big one is in Miami. Then they come back home, and really they're all big now But you can't just chalk up the Lions game anymore and go, the Lions are the Lions. No, they're not. The Lions are a good football team. So you got really 3 good ones left. You've got Miami. That's probably your toughest one because now the only thing that the Vikings have left to play for, they're kind of jockeying for position at this point. So can they hold on to that number 2 overall spot? They should be able to, but you got the Vikings jockeying for position. And then at the end of the season, it's probably going to come down to, you would assume, it's either going to be you or the Lions, both fighting for position to get into the postseason. Loser maybe goes home, So if the Packers can win the next 2, it's going to come down to that last game between them and the Lions, and then they would end up winning because of some of the games the Packers have won and obviously then beating the Lions to seal the deal. So Packers did what they needed to do. No problems. But tonight, big night for the Green Bay Packers. You can also hit us up over on the Bud Light live stream. You can hit the stream. You can chat over there if you haven't already. I don't see the comments coming up. We're using a new app tonight to run our program. So if it's not, my apologies. You can also email the program. Email us simply thebillmichaels@gmail.com. That's thebillmichaels@gmail.com. Let's get to the phone calls. Got a lot of people over on hold. So let's do this. Let's get to our buddy Greg listening to us in Waukesha. Greg, how you doing tonight, man? What's going on tonight?
Hey, Bill. How are you doing?
Good, Greg. How you been, pal?
Good. Watched the game over at the Q Club tonight.
Nice.
Yeah, it was good. So I wanted to ask what you thought. So Patrick Taylor only played a couple series tonight, but I have been really impressed with what I've seen out of Patrick Taylor, and wondering what you thought of his play. And I'm also wondering about this philosophy. So Patrick Taylor obviously has sat under possibly the tutelage of Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. I know he's his own guy, but in the NFL, do players do they work off of each other? I mean, obviously they work in the same room, but I just thought Taylor keeps looking better. I mean, we don't see him a lot, but he keeps looking better every time he carries the ball. What are your thoughts?
I think it's a couple. I appreciate the phone call as always, Greg, and glad to hear you were over the Q Club. Q Club's a great place. Hopefully you got the cheese curds and a pizza over there tonight. Awesome stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So Patrick Taylor, let's go with him. First of all, 4 carries, 15 yards, nothing huge. Really, Aaron Jones had the better night once A.J. Dillon ended up leaving. But Patrick Taylor, he reminds me of like a little bit slower Aaron Jones. He doesn't have the same quick burst. He's got good sight, good vision downfield. He'll get low in the hole. He does a lot of things right. He just doesn't have enough reps to really get consistency. But he reminds me of just a hair slower of an Aaron Jones when it comes to hitting the hole. But I like Patrick Taylor. I thought he'd make his way back to the roster at some point, and then sure enough tonight he did. And they needed him tonight, obviously, when they activated him because A.J. Dillon ended up leaving early on in the second half with that concussion. Appreciate the phone call. Let's get back to it. We got a few minutes here. Let's get to let's see here. Let's go to Gerard listening to us in Delaware. Gerard, welcome to the program, man. What's going on?
Hey, Bill. Look, if this was a win against a team that had all its players and was a solid team, I'd say it's a pretty good win, even though there was some mistakes. But I just looked at the players. I think Dobbs and Watson, Bill, the more I see them, and Dobbs just coming back, I like them. I think they're going to be really good players. Now, here's the guy I want to talk about. When Wyatt was in the game, okay, he took a double team, and Kenny Clark was only man covered. And that's when he hit what's his name's arm, and Douglas went right to Douglas. But anyway, and then on the one play where he went on the outside, where the 47 was getting the running back and the sack on the another play, Wyatt was right there. But he demanded a double team, okay? And that was the thing. And this is a guy who was only played in the fourth quarter, a couple of series. And this is what bothers me about this. This guy had to be flashing stuff in practice and stuff like this. He looked destructive, this guy.
Yes.
And where is he? And Walker, I was watching him again, like I do every time they play, and he has to put some muscle on, Bill. He really does.
He does, but Quay Walker had a hell of a first half.
Yes, he did. No, he The time when he blitzed, he played really well. And then when he was closing in on the quarterback from an outside rush, he played well. But the whole thing is you could see that he just has to put some muscle on, and that way he'll be able to get away from a block. Mm-hmm. That's the way it looks like to me.
And he needs a move. He needs something besides just turning his back and trying to run away from the guy.
Yeah, you know what he needs, Bill? Is a defensive coordinator.
Well, that too.
That's what he needs.
That too. Yeah, that too.
And I love Lafleur. I want to play aggressive, not passive. Now, excuse me, what week is this, Bill? What week?
14, 15. Yeah. We'll start to play aggressive. Yeah. Hey, here's the question, Gerard. This is the question I hope somebody asks tonight. If there's one question you're going to ask Matt Lafleur, what would it be?
If I was to ask for the year or for this game?
For this game, but in reference to the year.
I would say to him on a 1 to 10, tell me how happy you are with the defense.
I would might not be a bad one. That might be question number 2. Me, I would say, and thanks for the phone call. My question would be, why in the hell was Amari Rodgers returning anything this season? Have you seen Kayshawn Nixon? Have you watched him? 52 yards, 53 yards, his longest of the year. What this guy can just get away from people. He's got just a different gear and the ability to catch the football. Was he locked in the day that they were asking for kick and punt returners to kind of try out? Did he lock himself in the bathroom? Was he like out the night before, had a really bad burrito, just couldn't get out of the john? He had like a go to the other stall, with the bars in it. And did he have a bear down moment where he just had a foot lifter and just couldn't get out of the bathroom in time? Oh my God. Packers going to win. Stay right where you're at. We got a whole lot more. The Green and Gold postgame show coming up right after this.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes.
you go. I see everybody on the stream now. How are we looking? Yes. David, you to me.
458. Go. 319. 319. Touch.
This is the Green and Gold postgame show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Welcome in. The Green Bay Packers, 1 of 4. 3 more to go. Can it happen? Most of you are doubters. 24-12, they knock off the Rams. Gerard, who we just had on the line with us, said that, hey, if this was a good team, Packers wouldn't have won this game. They might not have. Who knows? But all they had to do was win this thing. All they had to do was win this thing, and that's exactly what they did. Packers got a win, and they ended up knocking off the LA Rams here at a cold, frigid Lambeau Field. Snow starting to fall in the second half of this ball game. And it was by the way, and Jerry, you're right. Jerry on the Bud Light live stream says this was the largest margin of victory this weekend after a crazy week. You're right. You're correct. So think about that let's back up here for a second. Think about that for just a second. With everything that went on this week and all the wildness, all the weirdness and everything that happened with the Colts losing that 33-point lead, watching Miami come back and you got Buffalo barely beating Miami in the snow in Buffalo. You watched what happened in that game last night between the Commanders and the Giants, what happened out there with the end of the Patriots game, taking on the Raiders. With all the weirdness, this was just a game in which the Packers won. They committed a couple of mistakes, and they still walked away with a win. So, question, are the Packers good enough to overcome a couple of mistakes against a bad team the way good teams are supposed to be able to do? Huh? Maybe. Could be. Possibly. Sure. Rams are terrible. Their stars are out. How many of you give the Packers any credit for this win? Any credit for this win? Phil says the Rams are the most banged-up team in the NFL. They're terrible. Their stars are out. The Bad Guy TV says our safeties versus Hill next week. LOL. This one's from Carl, who says a win is a win, but the Rams are barely a team at this point. Let's see what happens next week against the Dolphins. All of it. It's just one after the other after the other. It is just a horrific situation. Amos has never been able to cover. Then again, he's a safety. He's not necessarily a full cover guy. He's more of a safety and a center fielder. But I agree. You know what? It's not this. JK says Packers in for a rude awakening against Miami next week. Credit the Packers defense tonight. They only gave up 12. You got to give them a little bit of credit, right? Benjamin says 100% credit. Wins are hard to come by. 5 sacks. Could have easily lost this game, but they didn't. They won the game. Give them credit. 100% agree with you. 877-867-1670. You want to hit us? By all means, do so. Give us a shout. So, a couple of things going back to for those that weren't here for this. By the way, let me pause here for a minute. If any of you out there know Rasul Douglas, can you look at him, just grab him by the helmet, by the face mask, and just say, Rasul, what the hell? Did you not watch the end of the Patriots game? Did you not watch the ugliness of what laterals can do? What the hell? You get a pick, you're heading towards the end zone, you're going to go down via tackle, you're pitching the ball around, you're lateraling it all over. Stupidity cannot help itself. And sometimes, it was funny because we were just talking today about Brandon Bostic. Bostic ended up tweeting tonight. I retweeted his stuff. And I saw Bostic, and I hate to say this because he's a nice guy, but stupidity cannot help itself. It's the want to make a play that creates stupidity in a rational moment that then creates chaos. Bostic, don't touch the ball. Got you, coach. Sean Slocum, let it go. Got you, coach. Ball in the air. Let it go. Here comes Jordy. Got you, coach. I got to go get it. Tonight, Rasul Douglas gets the pick. Can't get to the end zone, but I'm going to do something crazy. We're going to make a play here. We've got the game. All I got to do is just go down and let the offense take care of itself. But I'm going to pitch it, and I'm going to do it blindly. Not even knowing where the ball's going. I'm just going to toss the ball. Just get rid of the hot potato because somebody behind me is going to pick it up. It was the dumbest thing I coming off of the heels of yesterday, I think I've seen in a while. Unbelievable. I've given minimal credit to the team, especially when playing soft ever big third down in 13 and 17 and 12. Embarrassing, Mr. Passaberry. I will believe in this team while he is coaching. I will never believe in this team while he is coaching. I watched tonight, and there was a play in which I said third down coverage was really good, but everybody took the picture of the play prior to the actual snap of the football, and everybody was playing, I think it was a 7-yarder or 6-yard or something like that, 3rd and 6 or 3rd and 7, or well, I don't know what it was, but everybody was playing 3 yards behind the line. When the snap of the ball hit is when I snapped the picture. The corners came up. So it was the one time all night that I saw the defense step back, leave the cushion, and then as the snap count came, they walked themselves up into what would be considered less than the first down zone, and they had pressure. It was early on in the first half of the ball game, and they had pressure in that zone. So that was one of the only times that I saw that tonight. I agree with you. Playing off the ball is just as dumb can be. I get it. If you're going to play at the line, that's one thing. Okay, no problem. But if you're going to play 5 yards deep, we saw one time tonight. What was it, 3rd and 17 or it was 3rd and 15. The defense was playing 18 yards back. 3 guys in a zone, standing 3 yards behind the receiver, who got the ball. It was a 3rd and 15, caught the ball at 3rd and 17, and the defenders were 3rd and 19 or 3rd and 18 back. It was the damnedest thing. I'm like, I had no idea why you would do that. It's death by 1,000 cuts, and I completely understand a lot of the frustration for many of you that are out there tonight. 877-867-1670. Backcountry says, I am sure they did, but Rodgers was Goot's golden boy draft pick. Oh, you're talking about Amari Rodgers. Gotcha. Amari Rodgers. Good to say it's not Aaron Rodgers. Amari Rodgers. 100% understand. He had a lot of time to prove himself, and for whatever reason, I have no idea why Keyshawn Nixon could not be the returner at the beginning of the season. That dude is legit, man. He is legit, and you screwed around for half a year and not 1, not 2, but 3 different fumbles, 3 different turnovers for Amari Rodgers, for him to finally get the boot and say you can't catch, you can't hang on to the football, you can't be a returner, you're not really much of a receiver, so we don't have a place for you. And the meanwhile, Keyshawn Nixon's sitting back there going, Coach, I might be able to do this for you. I might be able to help you out a little bit. I couldn't. I can't fathom that. That, to me, is unforgivable. Wisconsin family says, I by no means green and gold glasses. I'm not that wearing guy. The Rams had a lot of players out there. Had a lot of players out, he means, as far as injury goes. They're not very good. Baker isn't very good. But what are we supposed to do? Lose? Are they not supposed to at least complete one pass or what? Good W for the Pack. They did what they were supposed to do. That's beat a bad team. That is true. That is true. I guess what would have happened is if they won, say, 42-7, then everybody would have said, well, they don't have anybody. It's a bad team. That's why I said, hey, it's a win. You take it, you move on, period. You take it, you move on. 877-867-1670. Got some phone calls lining up. Phone lines are wide open. If you want to chime in, do it. I'm getting a lot of people over on the Bud Light live stream, getting a lot of people over on Twitter. Good stuff there as well. Michael says, Nixon was that dude from the very first return. How did the coaches not see that? You know why? Because when I watch these guys warm up, Amari Rodgers in practice would, fair catch or wave it or catch it and take a little stutter step and then take off and run to the open area. But they don't hit. They don't hit. They don't take you down. They just, he would catch it in practice and off you go. And then in a game, he couldn't do it. Keyshawn Nixon just needed an opportunity. And the fact that time and again we saw Amari Rodgers just not be able to handle the football, somebody else should have been back there. That's I hope somebody asks that tonight and just says, hey, Coach, look, I'm not sitting here to harp on things with you, but Keyshawn Nixon, man, that cat's for real. Can you just tell us why he had nothing when it came to opportunities to be able to do his thing? He averaged 31.7 yards a return tonight. 3 returns, 95 yards. The longest was a 52-yarder. His second longest of the season. His other one was a 53 or 55-yarder. You weren't even going to come close to seeing that out of Amari Rodgers. How about that? 2 punt returns tonight, 36 yards. 18 yards a punt return. 18 yards a punt return. Amari Rodgers would fair catch it most of the time, and the rest of the time he'd fall down. maybe 8 yards, 9 yards. This guy's averaging 18 yards a return. He is a field flipper, man. How do they not know this? That's what I want to know. Aaron Jones tonight, 17 carries, 90 yards, 5.3 yards per carry. Aaron Jones also through the air tonight, 36 yards. 36 yards. So 126 yards through the air. He had a touchdown, one touchdown through the air, which was the 15-yard, 25-yard touchdown. Excuse me, the 7-yard touchdown. He had a 25-yard catch, but a 7-yard touchdown catch. And then A.J. Dillon, obviously, with a couple of touchdowns tonight, 11 carries, 36 yards, 3.3 yards per carry, an 8-yard touchdown plunge later in the ball game. He also had one early on he had an 8-yarder and then had a 1-yarder later on in the ball game. So A.J. Dillon with a nice night tonight as well. 877-867-1670. 877-867-1670. Back to the Bud Light live stream and all of you that are over there. David said, Rodgers tried. Watson just had a brain fart. More experience just was simply needed. Shows the ineptitude of the scouts and how the coaches are. Michael says, are the scouts the same people who tell the fans to sit down? They may be. There's a lot of those. There were some of those tonight. Tonight it was a pretty good crowd. They got loud when they needed to, too. I was rather impressed for a cold weather crowd with, gloves and such and the stuff over your face. Pretty loud crowd tonight. I liked it. This one's for Paul. Said, would love to see Ramsey knocked on his ass. Dude is, yeah. You know what? Ramsey, the first holding call that wasn't when he took down Christian Watson in the end zone, I saw the feet get tangled up, but what I did not see was the hold behind it. Behind it. Viking fan says Jordan Love wants out. How do you know? Who said that? Jordan Love, I got news for you. A little insight here. Jordan Love does not want to rock the boat. Jordan Love, there was a, how do I put this without giving away state secret? Let's just put it this way. Jordan Love, after word got out that he was going to seek a trade, made it known. No, I've never said that. That's not what I'm saying. Let's just chill. Now, does he want to play? Absolutely. So if he gets the chance to go play somewhere else, I'm sure he would take it. It makes him money. Hell yeah. He wants to play. I don't think he wants out. I think he wants to play. But I think as of right now, when it comes to demanding a trade, when you don't play to begin with, you can't demand anything. So he's got nowhere to go. There's nothing he's going to do. Abdunah says Rodgers has to trust the wideouts a little bit more. He overthinks it at times. I want to go back to the past to Alan Lazard, the one that was picked. And I know that they kind of sugarcoated it, I guess, in the TV broadcast. Hear what I saw, and I'll just tell you what I saw. Alan Lazard was on and out. It was zone coverage. The zone dropped back. Alan Lazard found the open space. Now, what they teach you as a wide receiver is when you see the open space, you turn and you sit. You sit in it. You don't drag that coverage downfield or run into the coverage. You sit in the open space. Rodgers noticed it and threw the ball. The problem was Rodgers threw the ball from the open space beyond. He wanted Lazard to take off downfield. You're not taught that. Lazard, had he kept going, he would have ran into the coverage, and all he would have been doing was contesting the interception. But had Rodgers just thrown him, much like when Randall Cobb was waving with his hand in the air down in Chicago, and Rodgers overthrew him going downfield, same thing. Rodgers sees the open space. When you got open space, you take off. That's what they're supposed to do. Rodgers wants them to do that. Instead of just throwing him the damn ball to the open space. Had he just zipped it to Lazard, Lazard would have, one, had a catch, and two, with only two defenders, a spin move, maybe he has an opportunity to take it a little bit further or even into the end zone, much like Cobb could have done in the game against Chicago. Sometimes, and this one, Rodgers goes back to simplifying things, sometimes what guys, the rules are, but just throw the damn ball. Just put it into the open hands. Don't worry about all the other stuff. Just get the ball down the field and get it to the open man. That's it. That's what he needs to do. So Rodgers was trying to get exactly. Bad TV guy says he was trying to teach calculus with a wide receiver. Just keep the game simple. Exactly. You didn't have to go downfield. All you had to do was throw it to the spot, right into the open zone. He was wide open. It was a completion sitting there waiting to happen. And instead, he tried to lead him and take him downfield where he thought he should go. But like I said, if he does take off and run downfield, he's running right into the coverage, and there's no sense in doing that. And Lazard saw that. So while Rodgers may say that's on Lazard, actually it was on Rodgers. That's actually was on Rodgers. 877-867, excuse me, 1670, 877-867-1670. Hit us up if you want to chime on. Phone lines are open. Going to get back to that. Packers get a nice win. Nice win at home. All you're supposed to do is win, 24-12. Defense holds the L.A. Rams to 12 points. Not a bad day at the office, actually. They harassed the hell out of Baker Mayfield, sacked him 5 times, caused him with some errant throws. Quay Walker almost had 2 picks tonight just himself. I mean, a lot of guys, right place, right time, tipping balls. They did what they were supposed to do, and they played with a good tenacity tonight. I'll take that every damn day of the week. Stay tuned. We are broadcasting here in Green Bay. Packers get a win, and it's one of the next 3. You got 3 more to go. 1 out of 4. 3 more to go. See if it can happen. I don't, I'm pessimistic about it, but hey, stranger things have happened. God knows it could possibly happen here, in the last couple of games at Lambeau. They just need to get past Miami next week, and then after that, it's home field for the next couple of weeks. So we'll see what actually happens. Packers going to win. Stay tuned. We got a whole lot more of the Green and Gold Postgame Show coming up next.
This is the Green and Gold Postgame Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Packers going to win. Kind of hanging out, enjoying our time up here. And here in Green Bay tonight, where it wasn't too bad. A little bit of wind. You had a little bit of wind. You had some, snow flurries that started up at halftime. Really didn't affect the game, if at all. It wasn't too bad. So that was going on tonight. Bad Guy TV says we lost to the Giants, Jets, Commanders, and Titans. Yep, that's it. The Packers went out, and either the Giants or the Commanders lose 3. They're in the postseason. That's it. There you have it. Packers don't have a great defense. We understand that there's not much to make you a believer at this point. Just maybe you hope that things just get progressively better along the way. Look, I think the chances of them getting into the postseason, they probably went up. They're probably sitting at 15, maybe 18%, something like that. I think that at the beginning of the day they were at 11 or 12 to get in, 13%. It's not likely. It's not likely that it's going to happen. But for the time being, you got some opportunity. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. You want to find us, please feel free to go ahead and do so. Got Mike listening to us in Whitewater. Mike, how you doing, man? What's going on?
Hey, Billy. Thanks for taking the call.
You bet.
A couple things, just like you said, the 3rd and 17, and they had a few of them where they got 3 guys standing around the receiver who was wide open. I think they did it about 3 or 4 times, didn't they? And a couple of those drives that went long yardage 3rd downs, and they make 1st downs on them because we're sitting back in a zone or whatever, and we're not covering everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And they end up with a 1st down.
Yep.
I mean, it's same old. And with Rodgers, like you said, with Lazard, hasn't that been the last, how many years has he been here? 10 years at least, where he's going to go long instead of picking up the 1st downs?
Yeah.
When he's got people wide open past the 1st down markers, and he's throwing it for touchdowns.
Mm-hmm. Yep. No,
it just doesn't make sense.
Completely agree. There have been times this year and really in years past with Joe Barry and with prior defensive coordinators that just play the death by the 1,000 cuts. There's times to do it, but not when you're early on in a ball game and you're trying to, get off the field. I don't agree with it, and they've had some problems doing that all season long. We've talked about it, and at least tonight, Mike, they didn't have a lot of missed tackles. At least tonight there was more tenacity there. It was just some of the scheme and where they were playing, lining up, so to speak, was not good. But at least tonight we didn't see 22 missed tackles,
That's for sure, and at least we had, it seemed like even part of the Bears games, we had people, more than 1 or 2, going to the ball all the time. Looks like they were going after the ball carriers and the balls with numbers rather than 1 or 2, where you had those missed tackles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it
wasn't terrible. I mean, like we've seen in the past where this team has given up 15, 10, 22 as they counted in that one game. I think it was against. Was it against the Giants or was it? No, it was against maybe the Commanders. But they had 22 missed tackles in that contest prior to, and even in the game against I think it was the Eagles too. They had a bunch of missed tackles in that contest. We just didn't see a ton of that tonight. We just saw a defense that kind of gave a little bit and then finally stiffened, got a turnover, made some plays, and was able to get off the field. Because the Packers, I don't even think, punted in the first half of this ball game.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
And another thing with that interception in the lateral, didn't they see enough yesterday where it cost a game?
Right. I know. I couldn't believe that I saw Rasul Douglas that. I mean, we were in the press box, and usually there's no cheering or any sounds or anything like that in the press box, and people were just going, oh, my God. I mean, it's just the outburst of I can't believe that after what we saw yesterday. I agree with you. Appreciate the phone call, man. Let's go to Mike listening to us in Virginia. Mike, welcome to the program, the Green and Gold Postgame Show. What's going on, man? Mike, you there? Nope. Not there. Sam says, keep wishing. Keep wishing. He says, Jeff says, I feel like the Packers are in control of their destiny. Can it happen? Absolutely. But the defense needs to get back on track. Offense needs to stay on track and continue to improve. The Dolphins and the Vikings are going to be rough, especially Minnesota. Now, as to the other scenarios, there's a possibility there. And you're right. If you want to, okay, and I know we've gone over this during the daytime show, but this particular program, we have not quite a bit. But when you look at the remainder, when you talk about the schedules, the Giants, who just got the win over the Commanders. Now, you're kind of hoping the Commanders are the ones now that lose because it's an easier road because they've got the 49ers and the Cowboys still on their docket. The 49ers upcoming this week, and then on Saturday. Then the Browns on New Year's Day, and then they have the Cowboys on the 8th, okay? Whereas the Giants, who just got the win, so the Giants just now got the win, and you were kind of thinking that the Giants would be the paper champions before it be all said and done. I figured they would lose to the Commanders, then they would lose this coming weekend to the Vikings on Saturday, and then the last game of the season would be against the Eagles. Now, the Eagles may or may not have something to play for. Jalen Hurts also got a little bit of a bum shoulder in the game yesterday, so we don't know what's going to be kind of his status, but the Eagles still could be playing for something, but if they've got everything wrapped up, they may rest. So the Giants actually may have the easier road. They'll have the Vikings this coming week, then the Colts. And the Colts, I don't have any faith in the Colts after watching them, kind of screw the pooch on a 33-point lead. And then the Eagles. So what you're hoping for is that the Commanders lose 2 of the next 3, and then Seattle has to lose another game as well. If Seattle, and that could happen because Seattle does not have an easy schedule to go. Seattle's next opponent is the Chiefs, and then they have the Jets, and then they have the Rams. Seattle could lose one of their next 2 very easily. They could lose the Chiefs because they play at Arrowhead this coming weekend on Saturday. So they could lose to the Chiefs, turn around and lose to the Jets. Their season can be pretty much done when it comes to the postseason. And that would still, with them losing that at one of those 2 teams, and then if the Commanders could lose 2 of the next 3, that as long as the Packers keep winning, the Packers will end up in the postseason. Now, it is a long shot. I don't disagree. I don't disagree with that at all. But at least at that point, knowing what you know and the difficulty of schedule for the teams that you have to leapfrog, at that point, you kind of do hold your own destiny in your hands. You kind of do. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Phil says the Packers could lose to the Dolphins very easily. Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm not disputing that, Phil. I'm not saying they're going to beat the Dolphins. I'm saying, though, they know what they have at stake. If they go down and they lose and they play poorly, and we see some of the same mistakes and the same crappy defensive schemes and missed tackles and the inability to move the football and, the offensive line is not going. For whatever reason, whatever we've seen this year, if it begins to rear its ugly head, absolutely, they lose and their season's done. It's that simple. Lose, go home. You're only playing for pride after that. And at that point in time, then you're probably going to see some of the Jordan Love era begin, at least to get a good look as to whether or not you can figure out if those 2 series you saw in Philadelphia are for real or not at that point. Because if they are, then you can make some decisions at the end of the season. Do you want to extend them? Do you want to keep them around for another year? Do you want to trade them? Are other teams going to up their ante if they do decide to trade for a guy like Jordan Love? At least then you've got some options. But here's the counter to that. Suppose they do lose, and you give Jordan Love 2 starts to end the season, and he looks terrible in both. Then what? Think about that side of the coin. Then what? Let's say he does look terrible. Then you got a decision to make. Do you keep him around because you don't want to extend him, right? You just lost his trade value. I mean, there's a lot riding on the remainder of the season. That's why, much like Gutekunst said, Rodgers said, you just want to keep playing until you're out of it. Keep playing until you're out of it, and then make decisions after that. And Michael, I wouldn't disagree with you. The Lions are a hell of a team. They could end up slipping into the postseason as well. We got another hour of this yet to go. The Green Bay Packers, they knock off the LA Rams at Lambeau Field. We are live. We're in Green Bay. 24-12, the final. Stay tuned. We got more. It's coming up, and it's coming up right after this. One of the worst things that you can hear, you have cancer. The worst is when you hear the words, your child has cancer. When a child is diagnosed with cancer, it changes their world. Sometimes they can't even do things that they really love, like playing soccer, riding a bike, going to prom, attending school. Children with cancer spend a lot of time away from others, time in the hospital, treatments, tired, nauseous, and they feel isolated. That's where Special Spaces Wisconsin steps in. They provide these children with a special space where they can not only sleep, but they can play, they can heal, they can spend time away from the challenges of their illness. It's a customized bedroom designed just for them. How about a princess castle or a pirate ship or a sports-themed bedroom? They transform that child's existing bedroom into a place that only he or she can imagine, a place for them just to be a kid. This effort is done with teams of dedicated volunteers and sponsors, just like our friends from Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin and all the community partners. If you'd like to find out more or to donate, go to specialspaces.org. That is specialspaces.org.
If you came across a child struggling with hunger, how would you recognize them? By their clothes, their age, the way they speak? Would you recognize a 13-year-old boy who gets into fights at school?
Not because he's a boy, but because he's hungry.
Or a 2-year-old girl who cries all night?
Not because she's sick, but because she went to bed without enough to eat.
Or maybe a 9-year-old boy who hopes a friend invites him to a sleepover?
Not for fun, just so we can have dinner.
Or a 15-year-old girl who goes for walks over lunch,
so her friends won't know she doesn't have anything to eat?
I am the 1 in 7 American children who struggle with hunger. Kids you pass by every day, but never knew were hungry. I am Child Hunger in America.
Hunger can be hard to recognize. Learn why at IamHungerInAmerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America, 200 food banks strong.
Blue 58, go!
This is the Green and Gold postgame show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Packers get a win. They knock off the Rams. Welcome in the Green and Gold postgame show. I'm Bill Michaels, and hopefully you're enjoying it tonight. We are brought to you by our friends at Bud Light. They're the official beer sponsor of the Bill Michaels Sports Talk and Network. We are glad to have you on board this evening. It's not a season, but it's a 24-12 win, and the Packers walk away doing what exactly they were supposed to do, and that's just simply get a win. Look okay doing it. They turned the ball over a couple of times tonight, made a few mistakes tonight, and all you wanted to do was walk away and say, we're going to live to fight another day, and now we've got another week to talk about the Packers as to whether or not, scenario-wise, they could actually make it into the postseason. That's it. Nothing more than that. Nothing more. I'm not sitting here saying they're going to the postseason or they're Super Bowl bound or anything like that. And not going to draw any conclusions and such into, what they were able to do in 2010 when they won the last few games, and it kind of woke the sleeping giant because Jordy is not walking through that door. Greg is not walking through that door. Donald is not walking through that door. Jermichael's not walking through that door. James is not walking through that door. Balaga's not walking through that door. Clifton's not walking through that door. They don't have the same team. It's just not. But all they were supposed to do tonight was get the win. All they were supposed to do tonight is get the win. So there you have it. Packers, now they get ready and start preparing for Miami coming up on Sunday on Christmas Day. 877-867-1670. Tom is on the line in Florida. Tom, welcome to the program and the Bill Michaels Show and the Green and Gold Postgame Show. What's going on, man?
Hey, Bill, what's going on? Thanks for taking my call.
It's a win. We can live to fight another day, I guess.
Yeah, man. I tell you, dude, this win was huge, dude. I think
it was a good win.
I'm saying, the team I feel is starting to finally gel together. And I'll tell you one thing, dude. If there's one thing the Giants are, they're choke artists. They choke like my dog choked on my cock last night.
Time to go. Talk to you later. Goodbye. 877-867-1670. 877-867-1670. And if that's what you're doing to your dog, your poor dog. Viking fan says the early line is the Packers getting 5.5 down in Miami. Packers getting 5.5 in Miami. Kathy says, hey, it's a win. What do people expect? I didn't think the Packers would come out and look like the 2011 Packers when they went 15-1. Come on, let's give them a break. At least they won the game, and things looked a little bit better. Even the defense looked a little bit better. Would you agree? I go back to the fact that early on in this contest, they did not play stellar football. But remember, the Rams, 7 plays, 25 yards, they had to punt, okay? The very next drive, they get the ball back. The Packers held them 3 plays, 4 yards, right? After that, they went 9 plays, 38 yards, field goal. Packers defense stiffened. After that, they get the ball back. The Packers give up 10 plays, but it was only 28 yards. Remember, they got the ball in Packer territory, you know? And so they ended up kicking a field goal. Then they get the ball back after the Packers turn it back over in the second half. They get the ball back, 3 and out, punted it away. The next drive, when the Packers went down and scored, because they punted away, Nixon gives the big run back. Packers take it down, punch it into the end zone. And you're thinking at that point, man, all you got to do is just get another stop, get another 3 and out. And instead, they go 6 plays, 55 yards. They take it down the field, and that's when they put the ball in the end zone. After that, the Packers were pretty solid. Put it this way, the Packers only gave up 1 touchdown tonight, right? They gave up 1 touchdown. You can't get crazy. You know, crazy. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Hit us up. If you want to, you can. Watcher says, I give him credit for the win, but hope that they play better in the future. Michael says, come on. Come on what? Don't just say come on. Say come on what? Give me something else to nosh on here, all right? This is from David, who says, Packers will be mathematically eliminated if they lose the game tonight against the Rams. Yes, they would. He said, I'm going to be listening to the postgame show for sure. Looking forward to it one way or the other. Be a late night in Charlotte, North Carolina. David, thanks for listening to the program. This is from Anthony, who says, the Packers still have some life. We can at least grab onto that for at least another week. Get us through to Christmas Day. How many times has we as Packers fans been out of it going into the first week of December? It kind of felt like that a few weeks ago. At least the Packers have given us some more life. CC says, reality will set in next week. We'll probably end up getting beat. But for right now, just bask in the glow of hope. It's kind of like buying a lottery ticket. You know, it's a 1 in a billion chance that you're going to win it, but at least you've got that 1 in a billion chance, because when they draw those numbers, you still hold your breath just to see if you've won over $1 billion. The Packers are doing that right now. They're just holding their breath to see if they're going to win $1 billion. Who knows? Maybe 1 out of 32 teams, the light shines on them. And really, that's all you're asking for. Just a little bit of hope. Just a little bit of hope. Oh, okay, Michael, I got you on that one. You the man. 877-867-1670. Andrew says, take off the background. You know, the background is, I can eliminate it. There you go. We're just in an office. There's nothing to see here. It's just a crappy office. Just a little closet of an office. That's it. Who's this one from? This is from Jake. Jake says, a couple of things I noticed tonight. One, Rasul Douglas, what the hell are you doing lateraling the football after a pick? Which we went off on, and we talked about that. Absolutely 100% true. He said, did you get an update on A.J. Dillon? He'll be out long. I'll say this. When A.J. Dillon left the blue tent, and I was watching continuously, when he left the blue tent, he was jogging. They took his helmet. He didn't have a helmet, so I kind of thought it was, he wasn't out there like shaking his, his shoulder or his elbows or his knees or legs or anything. So I thought, man, I wonder what's wrong. And then he started jogging, and I saw them kind of waving, but his helmet went over to the bench. And I said, okay, probably going through concussion protocol. And sure enough, that's what they said, that he was being evaluated for a concussion, likely not to return. So now you wait and see on a short week. Will you have A.J. Dillon down in Miami? That's what you have to start thinking about now. Will you have that 1-2 punch? Don't get me wrong. I think Patrick Taylor is a decent backup, but he's kind of just a slower version of Aaron Jones. He's not the workhorse that is A.J. Dillon, who has just started to get his lather. A.J. Dillon has just started to really kind of get himself going. And then this happened. So hopefully, knock on wood, say a little prayer that A.J. Dillon is able to come back and be ready. First and foremost, you want him to be okay. But you hope that he'd be back and ready to go against Miami. Patrick Taylor tonight, 4 carries, 15 yards, 3.8 yards per carry. His longest run of the night was 6 yards. Don't get me wrong. A.J. Dillon's was 8, but it went for a touchdown, and he took damn near the whole team and a couple of beer vendors with him just to get himself into the end zone. You know what I mean? So I get it. This is from, who's this one from? This is from, Garage Man. Garage Man says, Hey, Unit. Oh, he's sitting outside smoking cigars with the heaters on. Hey, Unit, sitting outside smoking cigars, heaters on. Packers going to win. What a good night. All we need now is a little snowfall, maybe a white Christmas. We have the snowstorm coming on Wednesday into Thursday. And then from then on, who knows? If we can get some Christmas presents, maybe the Packers can be one of them. Like the optimism. Don't necessarily 100% agree, but I at least like the optimism there. This is from Steve. Steve says, what is up with Matt Lafleur allowing Joe Barry to play a soft defense? This has got to be as much on Lafleur as it is on Joe Barry. I will say this. The philosophy defensively tonight was, again, it was better. There was better tackling. They put pressure on Baker Mayfield. They weren't afraid to bring it. At times they were rushing 5. They rushed 4 pretty consistently tonight, but they were rushing 5 at times. At times they even brought some blitzes, which we hadn't seen them do a whole lot of this season. So they did get more aggressive. Where I think you want to see them get aggressive is just this hard smash you in the mouth, press man at the line of scrimmage. The danger in that is all you got to do is slip and they're behind you and it's a touchdown. So you don't want to do it all the time. But you'd like to see it more so in the aggressiveness on third down specifically, because some of the third downs they were picking up, they were kind of giving it to them. I don't mind even if you play off the receiver. If it's 3rd and 6, you want to play 3-4 yards off, that's fine. But don't play 10 yards back to where all they got to do is get to 6 yards out and it's a quick pass. And before you haven't even a chance to break on the ball, all they're doing is turning around and catching a pass. So I don't necessarily agree with that, but I'm not going to bash the defense tonight wholly because they gave up 12 points. 877-867-1670. If you want to hit us up, feel free. Again, 867-1670. This is when Connor says, hey, Unit, tomorrow when they come in and study the film, what's the first thing that's going to stand out to you? To me, 1, Keyshawn Nixon, he's a true returner. 2, why do they have Jair playing off the ball so deep? It's not just the other backs, but specifically your best cover corner. He plays off as well. If he's your best cover corner, should he not be playing press man all the time? Not necessarily depending on the scheme. Just an FYI. He says also, Quay Walker looked pretty good tonight. He was in the right place at the right time, had good instinct. On the one interception, he just couldn't get his hand high enough to get the pick, but at least he swatted the ball down. Good play by Quay early on in this ball game, and TJ Wyatt looked really good. Devontae Wyatt is, I think TJ Slayton is the other defensive lineman. He didn't play a ton tonight, but Devontae Wyatt did look pretty good tonight. I'll go along with that. But thanks for the email. Appreciate it. By the way, Rudy Ford, stupid penalty too, out of bounds. You don't hit a guy out of bounds like that? You don't do that. That was a bad penalty tonight. This is from Elton. Elton says, hey, you know what was with the holding penalties that were not being called against the Packers tonight? The receivers couldn't get open, and their defensive backs were all over them. Jalen Ramsey was pulling shirts on Christian Watson all evening long. Saw that a couple of times tonight. And the one was, I didn't see it, the first one that was in the end zone. The feet got tangled up, and but I didn't see, from the angle I was up in the press box, I didn't see behind where he would kind of held onto the jersey. Had he not had the jersey, chances are Christian Watson gets ahead of him and their feet never get tangled up. That should have been a pass interference call. They didn't call it. But Jalen Ramsey had a couple of them tonight where he just he looked like he got away with a few things, without a doubt. No doubt about it. Let's do this. We're going to take a quick break. We've got Matt Lafleur is going to be coming up. Aaron Rodgers is going to be coming up. Mike Clemens is going to be coming up. So hang in there. We got a lot more to get to. The Packers get a win. That's all you can ask for, right? 24-12. They knock off the Rams here in Green Bay tonight. We're in Green Bay over at Lambeau Field. Packers get the win and walk out to victorious, fans excited. A little bit of snow in the air. No wind tonight. It wasn't really a heavy wind night. I will say, because I did tweet it out during the game, that the south end zone was different for kicking than it was to the north end zone. The south end zone had like a weird whip of wind coming through it. The wind that was coming from the north was hitting that south end zone and kind of coming back, which is why, because I watched their kicker early on in warmups tonight, and their kicker, Matt Gay, he kicked a couple from 40, one from 40, one from 42. He went to 47 and was short on 50. He kicked the next one from 50. and it hit the crossbar. At 52, it came up just short. At the other end, going to the north end zone, he hit from 45, he hit from 47, he hit from 50, and he hit from 54, and did it relatively easily. So that where they missed, he missed that long field goal. I saw him hit the crossbar with that, or he made that long field goal. I saw him hit the crossbar from the same distance earlier in the game. There was a little bit of wind, but it wasn't stifling tonight. It wasn't terrible. I think it's more so than anything, it was just cold. It's like kicking a rock. There's not a lot of spring life in the footballs when it's that cold. You're just like kicking a rock. So there you have it. 877-867-1650. We got more. By the way, thank you very much. Steve says unrelated, but the hair looks great. Thank you very much. It's all right there. No big deal. All right, we'll be back right after this.
This is the Green and Gold postgame show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Said it the other day that, and I know it's a thought where a lot of people and a lot of hardcore Packers fans that scoff at it, okay? So look, I completely get it. I live in reality, and I say, hey, look, the Packers dug themselves a very large hole early. They have looked bad. Their defense has looked bad. They've looked at times extremely poorly coached, and there's not much to make you think this team can get out of its own way. What I look at tonight, I say they've won back-to-back games, both against bad teams, but they've done enough and done what they needed to win. They've gotten some turnovers. They faced adversity in turning the ball over and were still able to win. The defense held them to only 12 points tonight, gave up 1 touchdown. It's not a bad road to go. They didn't look great in Chicago, but in that fourth quarter, they came to play, and they played with a better tenacity. Maybe there's a belief that's starting to creep in downstairs of 1265 that says, guys, maybe we can do this. Maybe they can get themselves a victory. Maybe they can get a little mojo. You know, Rodgers' thumb didn't take any shots tonight, you know, which was good news. He didn't take any big hits to the ribs tonight. That's good news. Gets another week to heal up. It's a short week, but another week to heal up and feel a little bit better. So, you know, I'm not going to say it can't happen. It probably won't, but I'm not going to say it can't. We've seen stranger things happen along the way, you know. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. The argument goes on about playing in the cold versus playing in warm weather. Look, the Packers don't play well in Florida. We know that. I think to get out of this particular weather, these elements, and be able to go to Miami, it's not going to be 95 degrees in Miami and sweltering hot. It'll be warm, but it's not going to be hot. There's a different pep in your step when you come off the plane, coming out of winter into a warm weather climate. We all know that. We've all been there. You get out of it, you're like, "Ooh, this is nice," and you want to get outside, you want to run around, you want to do things. So it gives you a little bit of pep in your step. But when teams like LA come here, and I was out there tonight early on, the whole team. Usually, what happens is you get, you get some players that trickle out one at a time. You know, a couple of the guys come out and they start to, get their shirts off and they get acclimated. And then you get a few more and a few more and a few more. And then guys will go in and guys will come out and guys will go. Not today, man. Everybody in that team was out there. They were trying to get acclimated to the cold. I think the cold genuinely had an effect on them when they come out of the tunnel. It's a mindset. It's not a physical thing. It's a mindset that the Packers have the advantage with. Let's do this. Matt Lafleur down inside the bowels of Lambeau Field speaking to the media, and I wanted to let you take a listen to this, at least portions of it. Let's take a listen to Matt Lafleur talking to the media.
Were reflected in the game, and certainly I thought the second half was huge. I mean, we dominated the time of possession in the second half, and unfortunately there was a little lull there, I think, where we had the punt and then we had the fumble where we had an opportunity to kind of like just really close out the game that we didn't get it done. But all in all, it wasn't perfect, and there's a lot of things to still work on, still improve upon, but we're happy with the win, and I thought the Rams came in and played with great effort as well. And we'll enjoy it tonight. And tomorrow morning, we're going to get back at it and get on to Miami, who's a great football team. They've got explosive players all over the field, and it's going to be a great test for us on a short week, 6 days to go down there and put it all together.
From these last two wins, what have you seen in both that really make you think you guys could win out here?
Well, I don't even want to talk like that, to be honest with you. I think you got to keep the focus what's right in front of you. Certainly, if you look at the totality of it, all three teams are, really good football teams. And so I don't want to get too far in front of ourselves and just want to be the best that we can be each and every day, each and every game. And that starts with Miami.
Yeah, obviously you beat two teams that you should beat. Does that, though, I don't know if you believe in momentum, regardless of who you beat, is that important? And does that make the vibe around the guys different in any way? Or?
Yeah, I think so. I think momentum's real. I think it's, like we hit that lull in the middle of the season where we lose 5 straight. And it's hard once it starts going one way to get it going the other way. And we all have seen the competitiveness in this league. You see it each and every week. It doesn't really matter who you play. Anybody's capable of beating anybody else. And there's great examples on a weekly basis. And it just speaks to just how competitive this league is.
We had you a bunch of times over the last couple of weeks while getting Romeo and Christian out there together. Is that what you're looking for in them? It looked like Romeo was wide open with all of his opportunities.
Yeah, I thought Rome, again, it was great to see him back out there. You can certainly see his route running ability, how effortless it is when he catches the football. I think, we need to find ways to get Christian involved in the game earlier, because he has such a big impact on the game. And I thought they did a nice job. They played pretty soft for most of the game, trying not to give up those big plays down the field. And but both those guys, they've come a long way, but I still think there's much more in front of them. And so that's really, really exciting.
How bad did you want to get to that 30-point mark at the end? And that being said, still to go on a 15-play drive, eat up most of that fourth quarter to finish it like that, I'd be proud of that effort.
Yeah, no, that was a great drive. What was it? 8 minutes and 51 seconds off the clock. And yeah, I think you want to score as many points as you can each and every week. But the bottom line is you got to find a way to win the game. And whether that's 10 points or 24 points or 50 points, it really doesn't matter. It's all about wins in this league and finding a way to win. And I think our defense did a good enough job. Anytime you hold a team to 12 points, we feel like we should come away with the victory.
That points scored, and there's a point differential that's way, way down on the playoff tiebreaker list, but it is down there. I mean, did you think about that?
No, I didn't. I didn't think about that. I just think there's a way you handle winning in this league. And I got a lot of respect for those guys you're competing against. And, if I knew that was going to be the difference, certainly you do what you got to do. But I think there's karma involved in that. And I don't want to be about that. And I've got too much respect for them.
Even after they call the time, I mean, once he calls the timeout, isn't that like, I thought the same thing, and then he calls the timeout.
Yeah, no, I don't. I'm not worried about that.
5 sacks, the most since last Christmas. I think the pressure that they got continually was pretty good tonight, would you say?
Yeah, I think so. And, that's what we need moving forward. Certainly going down to Miami, I think Tua's been playing great. I think, obviously, they got a very, very, very explosive offense, a very creative offense. And it's going to be critical for us to get pressure on the quarterback in order to give us an opportunity to win the game.
Matt, the Rams have had a pretty good run defense, even when Donald hasn't been playing. How'd you feel about how you ran the football?
I thought there was some good and then certainly some not so good in the second half. They kept running a couple pressures right into a few of our runs where they knocked us back, and we were in those get back on track situations where we felt like we needed to throw the football. Some of those we definitely could have put our guys in a better position, and then some of it comes down to execution, and we got to do a better job in that regard. But I thought all in all, there was a lot of great splash plays, if you will. Just think that I'll have to go back and look at just the run efficiency, because that's something that we're always very conscious of.
How much were the conditions like tonight a factor in drafting Dillon a couple of years ago? And have you seen a payoff there?
Yeah, I think so. I thought he was running hard. That first touchdown run was indicative of the mentality and the play style that we want to have on offense. Just him lowering his pad level and guys competing, and the O-line, getting in there late, pushing the pile, our receivers digging guys out. I thought just that was a great example of what we needed to look like.
So there you go. That's Matt Lafleur at the podium. No word, at least I didn't catch it, on A.J. Dillon. I don't know if anybody else happened to hear anything. I was really trying to listen to see if he had said something, but no word on A.J. Dillon and the concussion and the injury there. So hopefully he's okay, and we'll probably find out even more either later tonight with Mike Clemens or tomorrow, obviously, when the Packers are back at it. Let's do this. 24-12 Packers get the win. They knock off the LA Rams. When we come back, I want to listen to Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers just approaching the media session as well. So hang in there. Got a lot more. The Green and Gold postgame show. We're going to have Aaron Rodgers. Mike Clemens going to be joining us as well. Stay tuned. We got a lot more coming up right after this.
This is the Green and Gold postgame show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Here at Lambeau Field, just up the street here in Green Bay, and the Packers, they live to fight another day. Seattle has lost, the Commanders have lost. Now they hope the Commanders lose at least 2 of their next 3, or maybe that the Giants lose all of their next 3, that Seattle loses at least 1 more, and they continue to win. And if all of that happens, then the Packers will find themselves in the postseason. Speaking of that, the quarterback of the Green Bay Packers, Aaron Rodgers, got a nice little ESPN send-off as he was walking off the field. They had like an Aaron Rodgers $12 piñata that they had with him tonight, and I saw him raising that as he was leaving the field a little bit earlier here this evening. But Aaron Rodgers at the podium talking to the media. Let's take a listen.
When you guys were trying to snap that 5-game losing streak, you just needed 1. With how the last 2 games have gone, do you think there's a belief in there that you guys could actually run this thing out?
I do. Yeah, I do. Now we're going to play 3 better football teams, but I do, definitely.
What's changed, Aaron, in the belief part of it, maybe than, 3 weeks ago or whatever it was?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think it's just you win a game, vibes are pretty good, and we've just been practicing a little bit better. Energy's been a little bit better. It's hard to put your finger on it. We played a couple teams we should have beat. So that being said, it's still tough to win in the league, and I said it earlier. I think we can beat anybody. We can also lose to anybody. But when you win a couple in a row, it starts to give you some confidence. Now we're playing against some better football teams down the stretch that we can go to Miami and win.
They played it looked like a ton of 2-shell. I don't know if they ever came out of it. Is that who they are, or do you think Watson had something to do with that?
I think Watson definitely had something to do with it. They put Jalen on him for a decent part of it, but it wasn't like he was singled up. There was a lot of 2-shell, surprising. Not a lot of pressure at all. Even on the last drive on hit Romeo for the big gain, it's just surprising coverage. Pre-snap. Nick was down, and I thought he was going to kind of hang in the middle, be an extra box player. And at the snap, he just jetted to the half, and Romeo's 10 yards open. Yes, a lot of soft coverage. It was basically quick game and run the football.
This week you need to score 30 points, but to go on that last 15-play drive and you went at the 1-yard line with 24 points.
We should have scored 30. Definitely should have scored 30.
It's the way to finish there, at least the way.
Yeah, we won. So, yeah, of course. But it would be nice to get 30.
How bad did you want to see Christian Watson get in the end zone at the end there?
I think we all did. I mean, he called a couple plays for him. So, yeah, we were trying to get him another touchdown.
Aaron, you look at Watson, Dobbs, what Zach Tom's doing, Quay Walker showing up tonight, and Igbari. What do you think of this draft class that Brian mentioned?
Yeah, I mean, they've made some plays for sure. Been a work in progress. Obviously, Kingsley's in there because of Rashawn being hurt. Dobbs and Watson both been hurt throughout the season. But nice getting those guys back. I felt like Romeo was kind of getting his footing there. He had some opportunities maybe for some run after the catch, but the fact that he catches the ball with his hands every time is pretty nice, and so it's nice having him back out there.
How different is it playing these guys without Aaron Donald?
A lot different. Yeah, nobody was upset that AD wasn't playing for sure. He's a Hall of Fame player. So that being said, I feel like the scheme was almost the exact same as when he's playing. They basically played a lot of two-shell, and they got a good D-line, even without AD. Greg's become a really good player, I think, inside, and he had a nice game. Obviously, Leonard's been, premier pass rusher. I thought he played well tonight. I don't feel like we got our best blocking game in the pass game tonight, but they still got a good D-line, but a lot of two-shell. Man, I feel like we, kind of did what we want to do on offense.
What happened on the interception, the throw to Lazard?
I don't know if he didn't quite see the ball. Maybe he was expecting me to stop him with the ball. I came out and was trying to kind of put it on him, but I guess, he thought I was going to stop him with it, so he stopped, and I thought he was going to maybe keep going.
It was supposed to be a screen to Christian, I take it.
Basically.
What's the difference you're seeing in A.J. Dillon these last few weeks? Is it just a matter of his style working well in this weather, or what's the kind of change you've seen?
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot. It's opportunities. It's his style. He's just a consistent player. I feel like he hasn't really had any lows this season. He's been solid for us throughout the season. Jones, he was a little banged up tonight. But I give him a lot of credit for fighting through and went back out there after AJ got dinged up. But AJ is a consistent player, so you know what you're going to get every single week from him.
You seem a little subdued.
Do I?
Yes.
It's late, man. I'm a little tired. It's been a long day. Monday nights, when you're a young player, you dream about playing on Monday nights. When you're an older player, you want those noon games. So it's past my bedtime. I'm ready to go home and go to sleep.
Aaron, I feel like there's been questions for weeks now of trying to get you to deliver a relax or run the table, and you don't just do that on command. What exactly do you think needs to happen to take your maybe hope or somewhat belief in what you guys are capable of to, okay, this is legit, we can do these 4 games and make a run here?
Well, it's 3 now.
Correct.
We've got 2. Got 2 in the bag. I don't know. I mean, look, before the Bears week, we knew we had a bye afterwards, and those of us who sometimes peek ahead knew that we had to win 5 and then have a lot of things go our way. So we won 2, and just about everything we've needed to happen has gone our way. Just about, right? So things are looking up.
Do you look at this game down at Miami as kind of the pivotal one of the whole stretch now?
Yeah, I mean, they're all, good football teams. Miami's playing for the playoffs. Minnesota's obviously division winners and coming off a big win.
There you go. That's Aaron Rodgers. Something just happened. So not sure if it ended there or what, but a couple of things that we wanted to kind of go through and discuss was, one, I don't know if you heard that, but there was a question asked about the Allen Lazard pick. And Lazard, he said he thought Lazard was going to keep going. Lazard sat on the route. He thought that Rodgers was going to hit him in that open spot. So there you go. He also talked about the fact that they played 2-shell and pretty much tried to take Christian out of the game. Ramsey was on him the majority of the game, but they did play a lot of 2-shell, and they did it because they didn't want to allow Christian Watson to get behind him, which is what you and I looked at. We were talking about that earlier tonight. So they were not going to. It was a defense that was based upon no big plays. We're not going to allow Christian Watson to get over the top, and they did that. They did that tonight as well. One of the things that I think was interesting. It was the first question. It said, Aaron, do you believe that you can win out the rest of the season? Some things have happened for you. You're still in the hunt for the playoffs. Rodgers then said, and just ended it, said, I do. That was it. He said, I don't know if it's a different energy. I don't know if it's a different step. He just said it feels different in here right now. And sometimes that's what you're looking for. You're looking for it just to simply feel a little bit different. Packers going to win 24-12. They knock off the LA Rams. We're going to come back. You know why? Mike Clemens inside the locker room over at Lambeau Field. He's going to be joining us, and that's going to be coming up next. Stay tuned. We got another one yet to go. And thanks to everybody watching on the Bud Light live stream. Always appreciate it. And thanks to all of you listening on the app and all throughout the great state of Wisconsin, Packers Nation as well. We'll be back right after this.
This is the Green and Gold postgame show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Fan, at least you have that right now. You got the improbable that maybe, just maybe it can happen. Welcome back to the program. The Green and Gold Postgame Show is presented by Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the Bill Michaels Sports Talk Network. Joining us now on the hotline is our guy inside the locker room, is Mike Clemens. And Mike, in a lot of ways, look, a win's a win. The Packers have now won back-to-back games. Meanwhile, the Rams, their season's pretty much done. We know that. They've dropped 7 of their last 8. And the magic from Baker Mayfield and that dramatic win over the Raiders, there was no magic tonight as the Packers held them to only 12 points.
And there was that other stat that this Super Bowl team champion has now lost more games than any other previous Super Bowl winner. That goes back to the 1999 Denver Broncos. And if I remember correctly, after winning back-to-back championships, John Elway retires and Mike Shanahan's left holding the bag and having to rebuild that Broncos team. But we just talked to Sean McVay on the loss here tonight in Green Bay.
I thought our guys battled. I thought there was, some real positives, but there was also a handful of instances where we didn't capitalize on some opportunities that we did have. Took a couple negatives on some chances where we had some, shots down the field versus some favorable looks, but, we didn't get it done. We'll continue to look inward and move forward and be ready to go against the Broncos.
Baker Mayfield last week, Mike, was, in the locker room flexing up. It's good to be home. Kind of the bloom comes off the rose a little bit tonight. Didn't look good, did throw the pick, was under pressure, 5 sacks by the Packers, and that was sacks. That wasn't pressures because I think they had 7 or 8 total, but it wasn't a good night offensively for the Rams.
And then things got off to a bad start for the Rams offense when in the first series they lost their starting center, and that doesn't help. Baker Mayfield with a quarterback rating of 67.8. He had the 1 pick. The Packers dominated time of possession. They had the ball 37 minutes. And so Baker talked about losing this one.
A lot of stuff out there. I think we're going to look at the tape and see how close we were on a few of those plays that really would have been game-changing plays. Early on, I don't think I was more frustrated with how I played early on. I think there were some plays that just easy checkdowns when they were playing that soft coverage that we got to later, but I think I could have made a few plays just to stay on track earlier in the game. But yeah, I think we'll be frustrated with how close we were. It's just one of those games where not a whole lot was going our way.
Mike, the wide receiving core for the Packers, and I know it was asked Aaron Rodgers in the postgame presser about 2-shell coverage. They really wanted to, the Rams really wanted to eliminate over the top. They did not want to allow Christian Watson to get downfield. So they know as a team, that they need some help. Rodgers said, look, when he was asked flat out, do you think you guys can run the table? Because everybody's looking for that statement from Rodgers. All he said was, I do. That was it. But he also said, he knows we need some help along the way. And I think the other guys in there, they're excited. He talked about energy, but they also know that while they have to win, it's also not completely in their hands.
And on a day where they released the veteran Sammy Watkins, the rookie Romeo Doubs, who's been out since November 6th in the game against Detroit, he comes back tonight. By the end of the game, he ends up being the leading receiver with 5 catches for 55 yards. And Romeo, the rookie, says, he knows the Packers still need some help in the scenarios around the league, but at least they kept their playoffs hopes alive tonight on Monday Night Football.
The potential is there. It's just up to us. If anything happens outside of what we are supposed to do, that's just shooting ourselves in the foot. But, again, on to the next page, just ready to grind again.
Mike, tonight I know A.J. Dillon was really kind of the bell cow. He was the guy that was churning out the hard yards tonight. Aaron Jones had a couple of big runs and looked pretty good, but A.J. Dillon was churning it out. Did they give an update, by the way, on A.J. Dillon, who ended up going to the locker room with a concussion?
No, don't know more about that. I'm sure he'll have to go through more evaluations tomorrow, but it's a short week now. You got 5 days to get ready for the Dolphins and a much better defensive team. So Aaron Jones got back out there. He told me he felt as better than he did going to the Chicago game. Aaron Jones ends up finished tonight with 90 yards, and he surpasses on the 4th-time all-time franchise rusher, John Brockington, who was this outstanding running back the Packers had 50 years ago, 1972, and he passed that up tonight. And Aaron Jones talked about the combo that he has with his fellow running back, A.J. Dillon, to drive the offense's run game.
Huge. We were able to run the ball, get that established, and we giving each other breathers, but still keeping it going is a huge part of it, and that's something that we look to do, be the spark on the offense, whether we're taking it and breaking for a big one or running somebody over and getting the sideline energized. So we just feel like we could be a spark, and that's what we want to do for this offense.
Mike, the one interesting milestone, I guess, if you will, you talk about Brockington, but you also talk about a guy that's played like an Iron Man for the Packers as well, and that's the kicker, Mason Crosby. I know that some of the kicks tonight were a little bit short, but Mason Crosby on the season this year, field goals, PATs, and such, has been above 80%, and he's much, much better than he was last year. And it's got to be a little redemption to have such a bad year, bounce back, kick pretty well this season, even though it's not the longest of legs anymore. But just to have that kind of sustainability, that kind of longevity in this game, it's got to make them feel good.
Yeah, you don't know if this is actually going to be his last season and if the Packers are going to move on. But in the meantime, yeah, some of those kickoffs were a little shorter tonight. That's to be expected with a cold ball in 15-degree temperatures. But tonight, Mason Crosby, it's his 255th consecutive start. It ranks with, other Hall of Fame NFL kickers that had long series. Of course, he ties Brett Favre for the franchise record for consecutive starts in game. And I caught up with Mason at his locker after the game.
I know. I think a few games ago I passed Morton Anderson for most consecutive. And that he's been awesome. He comes and he's involved in the Lombardi Cancer Foundation, so the golf event. So I've gotten to know him, pretty well over the years, and obviously a Hall of Famer. And it's just like it's amazing, to think how long he did it as well. And then, he played till he was 47, 46, 47. So just a wild thought to think about, whenever you start this thing 16 years ago, you don't, those aren't necessarily things that you think are tangible, but it's pretty cool that we're in it right now.
Yeah, but you know why yours is better? Because guys like Vinatieri finished in a dome. You did it in the tundra. You did it in the tundra.
And I love it. I love this place, this organization. I mean, it's they've stood by me, obviously we've had a ton of success, but there's been a couple of years that just weren't what it needed to be. But the fact that I've been able to continue on, I just have to always just be grateful and thankful for this organization and the relationship that we have all these years. And I hope they obviously they know I'm going to lay it on the line. I'm going to try to give everything I have all the time and be on that field.
So, Mike, real quick, Aaron Rodgers was at the podium a little while ago, and he had said coming back, he knows that, they obviously need to win, but some things happened over the weekend, and some teams lost, and Seattle lost on Thursday night. He said there's a different energy. The feeling's different. Do you feel that being here this week in Green Bay?
I didn't want to overestimate that. I thought it was there, not only just coming back from the bye, but again, like we talked about on the show during the week, it's the way they won in Chicago. It's the switches that they flipped there. It's the defense coming up, and then you've got things that are different now. You've got a return game. You've got Keshawn Nixon with a 52-yard return. I watched him just before he took that back, and this is like his second or third of the night. You think he's going to bust one any minute. He's over there dancing to the music to keep warm. Then he's flexing his biceps and playing with some guy on the Rams bench, and it's like, oh, okay, they're lined up. And he is so nonchalant, looks up, pulls the ball in, and runs 52 yards down the right-hand side and just totally electrifies that Packers bench again for a third time tonight. That stuff is making the difference. And then you get a little bit of a lead on the offense. Finally, the offense did. Now the defense and Preston Smith can go after the quarterback and get some sacks because you're up by 10 points. They haven't had that for weeks here.
And we'll get more into this tomorrow and then obviously throughout the week. But, Rodgers, when he said, I do believe, do you think he really does believe that maybe this team has a little bit of hotness in them that they could get through the rest of these games?
I think it shows he hasn't given up, Bill. I think it shows that he's still got the competitive fire in him, that he wants to try and get this to some kind of a winning record and maybe, sneak somewhere into the postseason. So, he's doing his part to get everyone to believe that they can still put the pieces of the puzzle together again, that they've got some healthy guys. And I'll tell you, and Christian Watson, every little bit about his game, from blocking, from lining up pre-snap, from getting the signals from Rodgers, he gets better with every snap, and he's becoming such a weapon.
Mike, good stuff as always, bud. We'll talk to you soon, okay?
Thank you, Bill.
Thanks, pal. There you go. That's our own Mike Clemens. That's going to do it that quick. Man, tonight flew by. Good stuff tonight, though. One more time before a crowd of 77,269 on hand and frozen to see it. It was the Green Bay Packers 24 and the Rams 12. The Packers live to fight another day, and that's not a bad way to go. They have it. It's time for us to go. Hopefully have a great night. Get home safe. Stay warm. We'll talk again Sunday, Christmas Day, after the Packers and the Dolphins. Until then, catch the show tomorrow morning, 10 a.m.